The mind game, navigating non-chemical and chemical methods in psychological operations. In today's complex military landscape, psychological operations, PSYOP, have emerged as essential tools for influencing behaviors and perceptions without resorting to direct confrontation. Non-chemical methods, in particular, offer intriguing strategies that harness psychological principles to achieve military objectives. This article explores various non-chemical tactics employed in PSYOP, the use of chemical agents, and the potential of legal methods to induce altered states of consciousness, as well as their ethical implications and scientific foundations. Understanding non-chemical methods. Non-chemical methods encompass a range of techniques designed to induce confusion and stress among adversaries. These include the use of loud noises, sleep deprivation, misinformation, and the more unconventional avenues involving the use of legal herbal supplements and teas. While effective in temporarily disrupting normal cognitive processes, these methods necessitate careful consideration to prevent ethical transgressions. The power of sound. The implementation of loud noises is one of the oldest and most straightforward psychological tactics. Sounds, when used strategically, can evoke intense emotional responses, creating an atmosphere of confusion and fear. In combat scenarios, this can be particularly effective in demoralizing enemy fighters or dispersing crowds. For example, the use of sonic weapons or disruptive sounds can disturb enemy communication and coordination, providing tactical advantages to military personnel. Sleep deprivation, breaking the mind. Sleep deprivation is another non-chemical method employed primarily in interrogation or high-pressure situations. By denying individuals adequate rest, operatives can severely impair cognitive functioning. This impairment can lead to mistakes, lowered morale, and increased susceptibility to manipulation. While effective, this approach raises significant ethical concerns, particularly when used against civilians or inappropriately within military ranks. Misinformation, a double-edged sword. Misinformation, or the deliberate spread of false narratives, has long been a cornerstone of psychological warfare. By distorting perceptions, misinformation can create discord and confusion among adversaries. For instance, disseminating false reports about troop movements or weapon capabilities can lead to panic and miscalculations. However, the ethical ramifications are critical. Misinformation can harm innocent individuals, erode public trust in institutions, and create lasting societal divisions. Therefore, careful consideration of the context and potential fallout is paramount when employing this tactic. Legal methods, inducing altered states of consciousness. Adding to the toolbox of non-chemical methods are legal herbal supplements and teas that can induce altered states of consciousness. Various plants and herbs, such as blue lotus, kratom, and ayahuasca, are known for their psychoactive properties. These substances can create hallucinogenic effects or enhance cognitive flexibility, potentially allowing operatives to manipulate perceptions more effectively. The use of herbal supplements. Herbal supplements have been used for centuries in traditional practices, often for their purported psychoactive effects. For example, blue lotus flower, while legal in many jurisdictions, can be consumed through teas or fumes to promote relaxation and mild hallucinations. Additionally, kratom, which has stimulant and sedative properties, can impact mood and cognition, although its use is controversial and subject to varying legal restrictions around the world. These non-chemical, plant-based substances can be strategically utilized in psychological operations to alter perceptions and potentially induce confusion among adversaries, but they, too, must be employed with extreme caution to steer clear of ethical dilemmas. Ethical considerations. While herbal supplements may offer intriguing opportunities for influence, their use must adhere to legal standards and ethical norms. Misuse could lead to dependencies or negative psychological effects, and operational leaders must assess the potential harm to individuals involved. Ensuring informed consent when employing these substances is essential to maintaining moral integrity. Chemical agents, scrutinizing the use. In contrast to non-chemical methods, certain non-lethal chemical agents, such as tear gas and pepper spray, are utilized for crowd control and psychological deterrence. While these agents can incapacitate individuals temporarily and disperse crowds effectively, their application is meticulously scrutinized. Regulatory framework. The deployment of chemical agents is governed by stringent regulations that ensure their use is justified and appropriate to the context. Approval from higher military authorities is mandatory, emphasizing that these methods should only be deployed when necessary and with clear objectives. This rigorous oversight is in place to prevent the misuse of chemical agents and to protect the rights of individuals affected. Ethical implications. Even non-lethal chemical agents can cause significant physical and psychological harm. The ethical implications of using these substances in civilian contexts are particularly contentious. Military leaders must weigh the potential benefits of using chemical agents against the risks of collateral damage and unintended consequences. Public backlash and damage to institutional credibility can arise from the indiscriminate or excessive use of such tactics, necessitating a reconsideration of their deployment strategies. The role of research and development. Research in psychological operations focuses on understanding human behavior and developing non-lethal methods to influence it. All research initiatives must adhere to rigorous ethical standards and comply with legal norms to ensure that the means of influence respect individual rights and do not unnecessarily harm or distress populations. Exploring radiofrequencies. An emerging avenue of research investigates the use of radio frequencies in psychological operations. The potential to disrupt cognitive functions through radio frequencies is a topic of ongoing exploration. However, as with all psychological tactics, their application must be carefully controlled and justified. Ethical considerations are critical. Any application that could lead to harm must be prohibited, and operations should cease immediately if adverse effects are observed. Scientific underpinnings. The interaction of radio frequencies with biological tissues is the focus of extensive research, aiming to understand how these frequencies might influence neural activity. Findings from this research could pave the way for innovative, non-lethal psychological operations, enhancing military effectiveness while adhering to ethical standards. Ethical and legal considerations. The use of non-chemical methods and chemical agents in psychological operations underscores the importance of adhering to strict ethical guidelines. Operations that risk harm or distress are prohibited, with stringent legal frameworks ensuring transparency and accountability. Military leaders must prioritize the safety and well-being of all individuals involved, as adherence to international regulations is non-negotiable. Conclusion. In summary, psychological operations represent a vital aspect of military strategy, particularly through the use of both non-chemical methods and chemical agents. The introduction of legal herbal supplements as a method of inducing altered states of consciousness further expands the arsenal available to military planners, but raises significant ethical considerations. As techniques like sound manipulation, sleep deprivation, misinformation, and the use of psychoactive plants evolve, their ethical implications must remain at the forefront of military planning and execution. This in-depth exploration highlights the necessary balance between operational effectiveness and humanitarian considerations, ultimately reinforcing the commitment to uphold human rights in the complex arena of psychological warfare. By ensuring that all tactics are transparent, justifiable, and ethical, military operations can utilize the mind as a battlefield while safeguarding the dignity of all individuals involved. This article was converted for free by the courtesy of Audio Read. If you enjoy the service, please consider upgrading your plan to listen to up to 500,000 words per article. Simply go to audioread.com/ad and you'll see the upgrade option. Your support helps us keep making the service better. Thank you.